Welcome to episode 25 of the Scale Model Podcast, sponsored by Goodman Models. My name is Stuart Clark, and I am here once again in the deep, dark bowels of Goodman Models with your friend and mine, and the biggest Top Gun fan there is. So he's very excited this week, Mr. Anthony Goodman.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, okay, let's get this off your chest, because every bloody Facebook group has it, of course. The Top Gun 2 trailer came out. Interesting.
Have you seen it yet?
Comic-Con. Yes, I've seen it, and I've seen people talking about. You know what? I'm looking forward to it. I just hate seeing every single group is posting a link to it.
Yes, we're gonna do the same. We're gonna post that
Anthony
trailer. I did. I insisted.
He insisted. That's fine. We're gonna put a link up in
It looks ridiculous. It looks amazing.
Maverick's
it's
flying
terrible and good.
Now, I did see the very last thing as an F-14 in it.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Homage to, but yeah, they've been making this, and they've been talking about this for a while, so
it's going to be a classic.
All sorts of stuff. We'll also have some Gundam news from Comic-Con as well, a little bit later. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to our latest Patreon supporters. That would be Matthew O'Meara, my apologies, and Mike Rubino, you think?
I think you got it.
All right. If I've slaughtered that, Mike, please let me know and I will correct it.
It's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage.
Have your name
Stuart, slaughtered by Stuart, exactly. But again, thank you again for your two support. And again, if you want to join the increasingly horde of highly elite and awesome people, go to patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. All right, let's get right on to the news. Hobby Boss for July, all sorts of new little things, from very small to very large. So we're going to start with the T4 trainer. This is the advanced trainer for the Japanese Self-Defense Force. Replace the T1 and the T33. Nice looking little thing. Kind of reminds me of a BAC Hawk with its own design.
Yeah, that's very cool. Nimble and...
Yep, 1/72 scale. It's a good size. Couple of different schemes, couple of different numbers. 180 millimeters wingspan, 139, 5 sprues, 40 clear parts, 1 clear part, and you can also has an in-flight stand. Shades of the old days of aircraft modeling.
Interesting.
Where you can display it in flight, so that's kind of cool. Then we have from very small to very large, the 1/32 scale B-24D Liberator. So this is their second Liberator option they've come out with. This one, the D model. Again, absolutely monster box. Two different schemes for this one. Based on a lot of mixed reviews on this one, but a lot of people seem to be enjoying. I'm seeing a few of these being built from the previous model. Quite a few sprues. So just so you know, for a size, almost 675 millimeters.
Not a big
67 centimeters. That's length. Your wingspan is over a meter. 1,049 millimeters.
Monstrous.
Yeah. 560 parts, 24 sprues. Finely detailed cockpit gear, grooved rubber tires, and some photo etch parts. So again, if you have the room for this, go for it.
Have at her.
I know. Again, where do you put it? I have no idea. Okay, from our good friends at Revell, July 2019. All sorts of different options from them. We're going to start with the GTK Boxer Command Post from the Netherlands, 1/72 scale. This is a APC, and it's a transport vehicle used by the Dutch Army. 8 wheels. Kind of similar to, I guess, our Canadian ones.
The Labs?
The Labs,
yep.
Same idea. So, yeah, looks good. Tiny details, but looks quite nice for that detail. 120 parts. 120 parts in 111 millimeters. So that's tiny. That's a lot of parts in a small.
Yeah, that's a pretty high
in a small kit. So yeah. Then we have the Shelby GTH 2006 1/25 scale. This is an attractive looking one. So 109 parts, 192 millimeters, about 30 euros. This one, the box art looks in the black with the gold trim. Beautiful looking car, actually. This was a limited edition they made back in, what did I say, 2006? Mm-hmm. They only 325 horsepower under the hood. They only made 500 in real life.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That sounds
so-
pretty slick.
Yeah, it was a nice looking vehicle. Looks quite good. One thing I kind of find funny is on the photo, it shows a rear license plate with Hertz. I guess Hertz would rent these things.
Oh, well, licensing tie-in.
Maybe,
Interesting.
but like
'Cause
Hertz
they would
rent a
be,
car.
they
Hertz
would
rent
be,
a car.
yeah, they would be, they would have to pay to show that
I guess.
logo, right? Like any other.
Yeah, and actually it has Hertz on the side and some of the details too. So
kind of support
I didn't
going on
notice
there.
that before, but the engine looks nicely detailed and it builds up nice. Okay, next up the Tornado 1/72nd scale Tiger Meet 2018. So a Tiger Meet is basically a bunch of the NATO air forces get together. It's like Red Flag, but they usually have it over and over in Europe. So quite often the squadrons will at least have one aircraft they'll paint up special. So this one is from the Luftwaffe. This is a Tornado they've done up in a very nice scheme. Tiger stripes and everything. Absolutely gorgeous. Movable wings, radar sensor, 2 wing tanks for fueling probes, etc. But yeah, the decals are absolutely gorgeous. So definitely check that one out if you're interested in that scheme. A good deal, 20 euros. And,
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. So next up, the 1955 Chevy Indy pace car. So 1/25th scale. So the 1955 Indianapolis 500 for 30 euros. You get 133 parts, 20 centimeters in length. This was for the 39th annual of the 500. This was a Chevy Bel Air. It was powered by the revolutionary V8 small block with a 4.3 liter capacity. Lots of chrome parts, lots of nice detail. So again, if you're into pace cars, check it out. Okay, and oh yeah, here we go with the Star Trek one. We should also mention that Anthony's very excited because, and so am I, they had a trailer also at
Yeah.
Comic-Con for the new Picard series.
Yes, and we've added that into our
We
sites and
added
tips.
that as well. So this one's not linked to this, but this is the Voyager, USS Voyager, 1/670th. I don't know why Revell does these funny scales.
They must design to fit the packaging that's available.
Box scale. That's what
Yeah,
box
in
scale
essence,
was, yeah.
right?
So 34 euros.
Excuse me.
Fairly simple build, 67 parts, 514 millimeters in length. Yeah, they classify, all the pivoting pylons apparently, separate warp nacelles, many clear parts, including a display stand. You even get a little shuttle.
That's cool.
stick
I
out
like
the
the
back end.
Voyager. I would build that one.
Yep, so that's pretty cool. Okay, moving on, we have the BMW R75-5 police bike. So this is a bike used by a lot of European highway patrols. So this thing will do almost 180K. Very powerful, reliable machine. So movable front fork, detailed 2-cylinder engine, rotating wheels, duh. Various chrome parts, including rims and exhaust pipes. So yeah, quite a nice looking actually cycle. This looks really good. This one here looks like from the Italian police. So that's quite nice as well.
It's kind of an interesting subject as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on.
Aren't there a lot of bike? A question for our listeners: are a lot of bike fans, a lot of motorcycle builders out there?
There seems to be a lot of motorcycle kits. So we don't see that many. At least we haven't at our shows. I'm trying to think here.
I
Not
feel like that's
that
my
many.
experience as well. You don't
Yeah,
often
but
see them.
there are produced. I've always seen motorcycle kits around. So yeah, listeners, chime in and let us know. Maybe send us some pictures. I've seen some gorgeous examples out there, but yeah, at least locally to us in Ontario, we don't seem to see a lot. Okay, moving on. Hasegawa. They've got a couple of new ones, or we're going to focus on limited edition. We got this from the Modeling News, which is a great website for modeling information and that. So first of all is the Japanese Navy destroyer Heiemi. It's a Yukumo type 1/700 scale. So this is a newly developed ship reproducing the full hull state, so it's a full hull model. Comes with etching, a wooden base, and an aluminum nameplate. So this is kind of like a deluxe edition, I guess. Photo etch parts, including the bridge roof and window frame, chimney, rain grate, ventilation, handrail. So this was a World War II destroyer. So that's quite nice. And then we've also got the F-15J. That's the F-15 Eagle used by the Japanese Self-Defense Force.
Anything J was I guess home built.
Sometimes, or was the model designed to be? Yeah, a lot of these were
Yeah.
built there. So the F-15J is
in-house or
yeah, or is built
nationally.
overseas. So this is a 40th anniversary of 305 Squadron, and it comes with some high detail nozzle parts. So 80 parts, 267 millimeters, 1/72 scale. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous scheme with like a blossom on top of it.
I love
paint
those.
scheme. It's absolutely gorgeous.
the anniversary or the special.
And it comes
squad
with some
markings.
yeah. So this was neat because it's got the decals, but it's also comes with a pair of super high detail 3D printed nozzle parts.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, and they look absolutely gorgeous, absolutely here.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, this was like from March 2019, so fairly recent. Then you've got the Kawasaki H8 K1 2-type large flying boat. So this was involved with the second attack on Pearl Harbor. So this one here, they carried out the second in March the 4th and 5th, 1942. They refueled from submarines at the relay point, and then they dropped some bombs and returned safely. They didn't do much damage, but these were big 4-engine float planes. So 299 parts, 407 millimeters, and the wingspan about half a meter. So a good size too.
Excellent.
Okay, and then look, an F-18 Super Hornet. No, it's not Mavericks.
Yeah.
Sorry. So this is VFA-14 top hatters. This is the CAGS aircraft, again with some special scheme to celebrate the squadron's 100th anniversary. Parts are for the Block 2 variant of the Super Hornet, and this one was deployed or is currently deployed on the John C. Stennis. And then for our friends on the bench down in Australia, they have, I know they're excited about this. This is the F-111G Aardvark. This is the
yeah.
one that served with the Australian Air Force.
Ugly.
Great looking aircraft. Great looking. No, this is the fighter bomber.
The uglier the better.
Yeah, I know. Well, this was the Aardvark, much beloved in the Australian Air Force.
Yep.
They were the backbone of their strike force for many years. So it's got, let's see, we got two different decal schemes. The 82nd Attack Air Force 6 Flight Squadron, and then the anniversary edition for the 60th anniversary in 1999. So that's kind of cool. And what else do we have here? I think we already talked about. No, this is another T4, the Kawasaki. This is another trainer for the 20th anniversary of the scheme. So again, 148 scale, nice looking kit. So yeah, some cool stuff from Hasegawa. What
Just
else?
churning out the kits. That is a beautiful airplane. I was just teasing boys.
I know
It's
is.
awesome.
It's a good looking aircraft. I recall a story about an F-111. They actually showed it. The landing gear wasn't deployed, and they actually successfully did a belly landing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they did quite well.
In
They were-
service or like a
in
training?
service, no, in
Oh,
service.
Wow.
And
yeah.
there's a story. I'm trying to remember the story. If it may have been one of the crew's first flight or something like that. But it was they managed to get it down okay and safe. And I don't know if it went back into service because it didn't have landing gear when it landed. But I'll have to look.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up. Okay, next from our friends at Mini Art. I love stuff like this. This was an actual thing after the war. This is a auto gyro. This is the Avro 671 Mark 1. That was an very limited RAF service. Isn't this great? Little, biplane with a helicopter on top.
Yeah,
What
these are
happens
really
when they
neat.
meet? Yeah, they
Yeah,
are. They're kind of
very cool.
They're kind of neat. So it was actually a license-built service of a Spanish design. It was one of the first successful auto gyros due to the rotor head having a manual pitch control. It's actually the first one anyone's done in 1/35th scale.
I would imagine these types of subjects would have been put out like in 72nd, 48th. Like,
I don't know.
as a
I'd have
plane-
to look it up.
airplane
Yeah,
scale.
yeah. It'd be interesting to see if anyone's done one. I'm sure there have been, but I just don't. I don't recall anything in this scale. And they say that.
How about the Gyro Captain's gyrocopter from Mad Max 2?
There we go. I wonder if
I've never
someone's-
seen a kit of
I
that.
wonder if
but-
someone's made one. Now they did make the one that James Bond used.
Oh,
Little
right.
Nelly.
Moonraker?
Yeah. No, Thunderball.
Thunderball? Was it
When he was in
Thunderball?
Japan, I think. When he was in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Cool.
was Thunder. I'm probably wrong, but that's fine.
Thunderball had the Harrier in it, right?
No,
Eh?
no,
The Harrier? Isn't that what Thunderball's about? They stole the
no.
Harrier?
They stole a bomb from a Vulcan bomber. If of course I could be thinking of the wrong movie too. So you know what we're going to do just to avoid embarrassing ourselves even more.
This?
I'm going to do a search on Little Nelly.
There's a movie where these
James
stole
in a
the.
set.
Yeah.
In a set. Little Nelly. In You Only Live Twice.
Oh, We Only Live Twice,
That
because it was the
movie when he was in
70s
Japan.
James Bond.
He was
yeah.
Sean Connery. So
Was
when he
it
was in
Sean
Japan,
Connery or was
yeah.
it the other guy?
No, Sean Connery. This one was Sean Connery.
Yeah.
You're thinking Roger Moore?
Yeah,
Roger Moore was
era.
after that. This was one of the yeah.
He was 70s, right? Well,
Yeah, he
Sean
was
Connery
late,
was only
late
the 4,
70s.
right?
Late 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was more in the 60s, if I recall. 1967. So, yeah, this was, Little Nelly. And I'm sure I recall. I'm going to check at Scalemates. Because I'm sure someone
There's a
came
kid
out
of
with
it.
a kid. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that as well. I know I've seen that somewhere. These
Let's
are really
have a look.
bizarre.
Yeah,
type
James
of aircraft,
Airfix,
eh?
of course. Airfix.
Airfix, yes.
124 scale. 124 scale, James Bond auto gyro, as they call it.
You know what? I'm gonna get a picture of that and we'll add it in just for
Just for
the
laughs.
viewers' interest.
All right. So there we go. So that's the auto gyro. And I just, for the heck of it, I just quickly typed it on Scalemates, and AZ Models did it, one of a Japanese auto gyro. So yeah, there's all sorts out there. I'm sure there's other ones as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool sort of.
Looks like a little tiny racing plane, right? Like,
Yeah,
how fun
sort
is
of
that?
thing you can take. You know what? I'm just looking at full kits here. 22 kits in Scalemates.
What? Really?
172nd
Oh, man.
scale.
Well, look at that classic Airfix cover, right? Like that
Oh, I know,
beautiful
I know.
artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Most of these are in 172nd scale, from what I see here. Just having a quick peek here, looking at scales. Although there is 4 and 1/24, 2 and 1/48. So yeah, all sorts. There's a lot about Scalemates. You can kind of find this stuff. Yeah, 1/24. All 4 were James with a single Airfix, just reboxing. Yeah, originally came out in 1967, and they changed
kit.
the kit, and then with the classic box art from back then. And then they released apparently a new tool. They have a new box in '96, and there was a new tool in between at some point. They don't have a date for that one.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, see, I think it's the same one. I think it was the same. 1967. Yeah, I think these are both the same kits. But anyway, yep. So that's there. So there's your auto gyro trivia for the day. Okay, going back to Revell for a minute, I saw this on the Revell newsletter. They now have their own branded UV superglue. So
this is neat.
Yeah, we've seen these before. Like there's been ones
it's
for
been
like
around
watch
for a
repair.
while.
Yeah, the idea is it cures with like UV light. So yeah, it's basically you place the part and then you. You nail it with an enclosed UV lamp. After 5 seconds, they're firmly bonded together. So this is another interesting part. Looks like it's €10 from the Revell site out of Europe. And again, I've heard of some people using these. I know when they first came out, there was some banter and talk about it.
I feel like this is kind of a very esoteric tool, like only the really, like kind of more on the advanced
I think it's
end of things.
and I think it'd be like
Yeah.
for a specific use. Let's say
I don't know what.
I can see this if you want something, let's say like a landing gear, and you want something that's got firm fit. You want to make sure it's secure. I can see something, because it's quick fastening, right? And as we talk about, you don't have to use the messy accelerant.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm used to using the different grades, like thin, which is fast curing, right? Medium, and then like the thicker, which is slow, and then using the accelerator, and either with a brush or should we just spray it on and come.
I think the idea is it's less
right?
messy, probably.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're marketing as. It's been around for a few years. Again, this is the first time we've just seen a Revell one.
Yeah, definitely kind of on the fringes of of the tool world.
Exactly. So, all right. So that's it from Revell. Moving on. So Comic-Con's on right now, as we just said, with a lot of stuff being released. We've heard about Picard
It's a pretty big event.
and Top Gun. Bandai's there. Bandai's got 4 booths, 4 or 5 booths.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's pretty amazing.
They got a crap load of booths. Because they talk about the 40th anniversary of Gundam and stuff like that. So there's some limited event exclusives. So at the Bandai Hobby booth, there seems to be a big thing lately with clear Gundam. So look,
Yeah.
so they have the MG 1100 GM Sniper 2. Isn't that the one you just finished?
Yep, I did the small.
You did the small
I
one.
did
so
a
this
1
one,
to 144 scale. of
but
that,
the,
yeah.
the same Gundam.
Yeah.
So in a clear color, and then they have different ones with different iron-blooded coating. It's all geese with a special
Yeah.
coating.
Yeah, that the Barbatos Lupus is from a series called the Iron
Okay.
Blooded.
And then you've
Silver?
got like an HG Gundam Age Magnum Dive into Dimension Clear.
That's from a different show.
$20. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all sorts of different ones. And then you've got
Yeah,
some other
it's obviously
other
a big thing.
Yeah, from other licenses. So then they've got from Tashimi Nations booth 3445.
Is that Tamashi
Tamashi, sorry.
Nations? I think this is actually like toys, like collector
More than
toys.
toy stuff, yeah, it looks
they're
like
put
it.
together figures.
Yep.
But we're just looking Dragon Ball. Like Bandai, obviously, we know they're doing Star Wars.
They got a lot of licenses.
Yeah, exactly. They're a big player, and
They're like
doing all this
Disney now.
different
They
stuff.
do the Marvel licenses, Star Wars,
Transformers, yeah,
everything. Yeah, and then there's some other ones from the collectibles.
a lot of collectible stuff.
Yeah, Nemesis Prime Transformers. Interesting.
You know what? This is a bit of an aside, but speaking of, we're always discussing trends and kind of where
Yeah.
things have come from and where they're going. When I first sort of really got interested or back into models, like at the dawn of the internet,
Dawn of Time.
late 90s,
The dawn of time, yes.
I found between now and then, you know what a difference I've noticed? Is that model kit building has taken a bit of a backseat to, for lack of a better term, toy collecting. And like figures, like all these, like for example, the Gundam model kits, there's a crap ton of highly priced, highly detailed, like complete models of like figure models or toys.
But would you call it the same hobby, or would you call
No,
it two
it's
different
totally
hobbies?
different. But they're, you know what? It's all available through the same channels.
Yeah, but
So-
you know what? Look at
Yeah.
in England, I believe Corgi's also owned by Humbrol, and they have diecast. You can
Interesting.
get a diecast
And that's been
Spitfire.
forever, right?
That's been forever.
Yeah.
You've always been same thing with.
I've noticed that's
look at
grown.
collector cars.
That's grown.
Yeah, look at all the diecast collector cars you
Yeah,
can get.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
been
I
out
think
for a
it's
long
just
time.
another. Again, that diecast collectible hobby is evolving, just like the modeling
Yeah.
hobby is.
Well, I actually would argue that from what I've seen is that section of it or that area of like the overall banner hobby
Right,
is
right.
taking a bigger chunk. I think people are sometimes they're saying, well, I don't have the skill, I don't have the time, I just really love this subject and I can get a figure, it looks amazing of it, or
Okay.
like a diecast model of Enterprise, or like seriously, there's all
There is
kinds
people,
of
yeah,
Gundam
certainly. There's
lines
people there that,
are-
and obviously they feel they've got the,
they sell. It must sell.
they must sell. So, yeah, we're going to talk actually a little bit later about different aspects of the hobby. So definitely stay tuned. Okay, and then you have a link here from Amusing Hobby.
Yeah, so I noticed that a couple of these items are actually not new, but
Okay.
I just noticed them, and they sort of caught my eye. They've got this 35th scale Super Conqueror, which is like the 50s British tank. It had like spaced armor. This is the version. They've got a Super Conqueror FV 214 Mark 1 with spaced armor, and that came out last year in April. And it goes for about $49.71 Canadian. But on their website, it's got beautiful artwork. I was almost not sure it was real. Like, it looked like a what if kind of tank.
Yeah, they got some, well, these are the ones that, they also came out with the Object 279, right? We talked
Yeah,
about.
so they're doing a bit more obscure, like 50s British stuff, like the the Challenger, right? Like that
Yep.
came out around that time,
Yep.
and there's like prototypes of that one.
Yeah, they got, so there's the Conqueror. Yep,
They've
the
got
Mark
some
1.
beautiful artwork going on here. So the next, if you're on their site, they've got that Super Conqueror up there, and then the next one they have is a PZKPFW38D. Like, was that a PAW 600? What's that? Panther?
Just going back to it here. I was just
I don't know what that is.
600.
PAW 600.
600.
It's not a Panther. Like, look at the barrel on that thing.
I'm trying to find it.
Oh,
Just
okay. Yep.
bear with me. Where about was it? Oh, the second one, the low.
Yeah, the
Second down, first. Yeah, that one. The big ass barrel.
That's another different one.
Yeah,
too.
these are all. Some of these are paper tanks.
paper.
But yeah, look at the size of that. Look at the size of that snout.
So they've got they have really beautiful artwork. for
Yeah,
the
they got a lot of
boxes.
paper tanks and stuff like that. But
They
yeah,
got the the next one is the Jagdpanzer 38D, the German tank destroyer. Like that's a real model.
yeah,
like a
they have
real
some stuff.
thing.
They've had some stuff out, and they've got some really interesting, like some of the flak panzers, the E100.
yeah,
for example,
That's
is-
like at the Atlantic Wall.
Yep. Well, no, the E100 was on it was actually on a tank chassis. I'm trying to find the other one you mentioned here, the 12.8 centimeter flak 40.
Okay, so that one,
Oh, okay, that
like,
one.
that's
Yes.
that looks like Atlantic
Yeah, that
Wall
would be like the
style,
Atlantic Wall,
AA
yes. Yes.
kind of emplacement, but like beautiful artwork, and I'll show you that.
Yeah,
one.
there it is. I'm going to include the links in the show notes.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
quite an interest. Like it could maybe it is a paper or a prototype or something.
Might have been. Yep.
It's got
Our
some
tank
interesting-
specialist would let us know. But yeah, they have some cool stuff. I know we talked about a few of theirs before, but yeah, it's always worth a second mention. They're
Now I've
making some
never
really cool
encountered
things.
an amusing hobby kit. Maybe have you?
I don't remember seeing one, or if any of the guys in the local club. We'll have to ask our friends at AMPS,
Yeah.
or maybe our third when we go on a road trip. Steve will know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or any builders, any of
tell
our
us.
listeners.
Send us something on the Facebook
Have
page.
you built any amusing hobby kits?
Yeah,
What do you
let us
think?
let us know what it's like. So
That's Super Conqueror though. That looks amazing.
yeah, that looks pretty cool. Eh? Just
It's
bloody
beautiful
great
art. It's
big.
worth having a look. Just even to check out the artwork. If you go
Yep.
to the amusinghobby.com, they've got these beautiful like kind of splash pages.
Yeah,
that
the
show
artwork is
off.
the box art's very nice.
Yeah, even just for that.
Yep.
So I thought it was worth mentioning.
Very
They're
cool.
not brand new, but they're
Nope.
pretty cool.
Right. Okay. Scalemates.com, the hot kits right now. Obviously, that prototype Polish light tank, the PL1, number one. Of course, the Airfix Hellcat, our friends at On the Bench. A couple of them have the kit.
they
They're
did a
going to be.
great discussion on.
They're great discussion. I know some of the talk is someone they're going to wait. Some of them are going to wait for all the photo etch and
Yeah,
you know.
he didn't saving up.
That's all right. So what else?
I get it.
Yep, hey, nothing wrong with that. So we have Rise Sherman, the Spitfire Mark 14. What else is fairly new? Of course, the Avro 671.
Oh, have you seen this Borgwad IV? What's that? 4?
Where is it?
Panzerjäger Wannsee.
Oh, yeah, this is
Is that real? I've never seen
It actually
that.
was in service. So I read a
That's
little article
cool.
on it today. So this has 6 anti-tank missiles.
Yeah.
And it actually had some very, very limited use in the Battle of Berlin. Very, very
Okay.
limited
It
use.
looks small.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was very small, and it actually did see a little bit of action, but very limited. Release.
So this is another new. This is
a new release
DOS
as well.
work. Yeah, 2019. It's a new tool. It's coming out. It's not out yet.
Not coming out yet. It's coming out. Gonna be coming
Oh,
out.
and
soon.
you know what? That's right. It's in cooperation with Amusing Hobby, and I meant to mention
Yeah.
this one as well.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I thought,
right.
I looked at it. I thought, well, hold on a second. Is that like one of these video game kind of tanks or something? But it's very interesting.
Yeah, it was a very, very small design, and it was.
I'm glad you knew something about it.
Just because I think I read it on the modeling news.
Borgward.
I think I saw it on the modeling news today. They had a little, deep,
Yeah,
in depth
yeah.
what it was about.
There was some. Where was I looking at? Because they had actually some really neat, like the line drawings, kind of the top-down view and the side view.
Yeah,
and
I think
the
that
bar-
was. I
the
think
box
that
art.
was. I think that was at Scale Model News.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of tanks on there, obviously.
Lots of armor.
Lots of armor. Look, your Sheraton's still there. It's you're gonna have to get that kit.
One day.
One day. Let's see what else. Yeah, so pretty well all the usual ones. A nice country Dodge Charger, 69 Dodge Charger RT.
Now that's
MPC
the-
round 2 from
that-
2018.
Oh, that's not the. That's the Dukes of Hazzard car, I believe. Reprint.
It's slightly different. Yeah, similar. Yeah, it was a Charger. I don't know if it's the same year. This one's set up differently, but yeah, nice looking vehicle. That late 60s stuff, I have to agree with Ian.
Yeah, it's the sweetest design.
They
for
are
sure.
they are some nice ones from back.
But we know the best one is the '73 Ford Falcon XP, right?
Is that the one you're building? No.
No, that's the Mad Max.
That's the Mad
Interceptor.
Max one Interceptor, yeah.
So sweet.
I don't know. I still like the original Ford GT.
Yeah.
Le Mans and stuff like that. And even the 2000, I see the 2006 one from Polar Lights is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite crossover real life / science fiction
You like
car.
that
is
one?
the-
You'll have to get. I'm sure there's a
Interceptor.
kit. I'm sure
There
there's
is.
a kit.
There's an Aoshima kit.
You'll
It's
have
very
to-
hard to come by, out of
Alright.
print, whatever.
You'll have to find. Oh, one thing I did want to point out
Yeah.
is that Edouard has released their box art for their 1/48 scale P51D. This is one that's been very hotly anticipated.
No, the P50 is the
It's the bubble top.
Lightning?
Usually, no, it's the Mustang.
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 That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, it was
bad.
basically the single engine fighter. Started with a Merlin engine, but it could escort the B-17s all the way.
All the way because it
all the
had
way and
extended
back.
fuel tank.
Right. So this one is a nice looking box art. I know a lot of people who are Mustang fans are waiting for this.
Yes,
So this
people
could be
love
a
that bird, right?
yeah, and again they're going to have it in the usual, various separate editions. There's going to be a Royal class already. Yeah, just a gorgeous looking kit. So they have released the box art. One of the schemes is the Chattanooga Choo Choo, and there'll be, I'm sure, other ones. Some pre-orders are already going around $43 US.
That's not bad at all. That's
Yeah,
very.
yeah. Edouard again, various
Yeah.
levels. Like you want the deluxe edition,
You
you'll be
pay the
paying
extra.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be worth it. Now that's the Red Tails flew the
Basically, yeah, the
51D.
P51D was a very good high altitude fighter. So again, just like the Spitfire is to the British, the Mustang was, or like the Corsair or the Hellcat. Yeah, very good. 6 Browning 50 cal machine guns is the armament. Very effective. A lot of
Yeah.
the US aces flew this because again, yeah, it could go all the way to Germany and back, or even stuff like the P38 Lightning, which was twin engine, couldn't. A lot less range.
Yeah, very nice.
So this will be nice. Again, I just read about that today, so I didn't get a chance to add it. So I'm glad I saw it there. That'll be a nice kit. At some point, I'd like to build a Mustang. It's just not on the list right now. But it's a nice looking aircraft, and it has a Merlin engine. So
Yeah, that's like the classic workhorse, right?
the classic. Well, that powered the
World War II,
Spitfire,
yeah.
the Mosquito, the Lancaster. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, just going on. The only other thing I wanted to mention, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Arma has released out of Poland. They've released their Hurricane Mark One as a Sea Hurricane in navy colors. So they've changed the decals, stuff like that. It has a version known as a Cam Hurricane. Now this is an interesting one. So a Cam Hurricane was put on a catapult on a merchant ship. And these were designed for the Murmansk convoys, the ones that went over the top of Norway. So, which was, of course, held in German hands at the time. So the idea was if a Focke-Wulf, usually a Focke-Wulf 200, long range, came to harass the convoy, this thing would be launched. It would hopefully take care of the aircraft, but then it would ditch in the ocean. This wasn't a carrier, and hopefully the pilot would
get out.
survive long enough in the cold to, Yeah, they actually used this like several times. It was a very stopgap because in the high Arctic there, you couldn't really, with the cold and everything, you couldn't really operate an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So yeah, they
Not
had this. So they're
feasible.
called Cam Hurricane. So they basically hold Hurricane Mark Ones, and again, it would be a single catapult with one of these, and it was like a one-way mission.
Wow.
Yep. So hats are off to these guys.
Absolutely.
So again, yep. So that's pretty well it for all those. I don't see anything else that really catches my eyes. We've already haven't seen. So yeah. So that's what's hot at Scalemates. Okay, we're gonna talk about super sanding blocks. And you know what time it is, Anthony?
It's the giveaway time.
It's super sanding single giveaway. So we said.
It's kind of a boring name for that.
I know it works.
We did a lot better
No,
on the other one.
It works. I'll add sound effects later or something.
Explosions.
We'll have a marching band or something. So what we did is we said anyone who was a Patreon subscriber as of today, I put everyone's name into a draw. What I did was I exported them into a spreadsheet, and then we took the entire numbers from 1 to whatever. And I threw that into random.org, and in front of Anthony, I clicked the thing, and we came up with a winner. And our winner is Matthew O'Meara.
Yay!
So, Matthew, Anthony's going to reach out to you. We've got your email address from Patreon, and he'll reach out to you, and we'll make the arrangements for you.
Yep, you get to choose your own, whatever grit you want, you get to choose one.
Exactly.
And we'll do this one, maybe we'll make this
We'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again.
We'll do it again. Okay, and let's see here. So, and as always, thank you to all our Patreon supporters. We really can't do it without you.
We value your support.
Yep, we're hoping to do some more video content, which you guys will get to see first before anyone else. I usually give it 2 weeks. So, yeah, we really appreciate it. It helps keep the podcast moving. Okay, moving on. A whole bunch of different topics. Of course, IPMS Nationals is coming up like 2
Next
weeks,
month, yeah.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's in Chattanooga, Tennessee this year. And this is the big U.S. show where...
This is really the kind of...
You ever been?
I've never been, but I'm dying to go. It's on my list for sure. For sure, we should go.
People call it the world's largest hobby shop for a couple of days. The
I
vendors
heard
room's
it's
apparently
pretty
huge.
intense. Like if you got to practice your self-discipline. but also this is like the contest probably where you're gonna
For
see
people who want to be
most
under
amazing
the
stuff.
IPMS judging, this is
Yeah.
where people go.
But even the
and
scope of it, like this is a
it's huge.
massive show.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So, unfortunately, neither of us are going to be there, but
Not
we
this
will
time,
try and get as much news as possible. I know.
I didn't realize it was coming up.
I know it just comes up quick. I have to check with our local club and our local AMPS group to see if any of the guys are going. If so, we'll see if we can get some sort of report from them.
or some photos or something for sure.
Yeah, so there's going to be, the normal product announcements. So for example, that P51 from Edouard, that's going to be shown. The
debuted
spruce
there.
shots will be debuted
that's
there. They've
pretty
already
cool.
said that.
Yeah.
We'll see what else is coming up there.
I
So
know our good friends at Flexifile are going down, and they're going to have a big shipment of Super Saiyan blocks for
there
sale
you
there
go.
as well.
So if any of our listeners are down there and they're at the FlexiFile booth and they see them, make sure you make a big thing out of it. Say, "Oh wow, I heard about these
Yeah.
on the Scale Model
Pump them
podcast."
up for me. Tell all your friends.
Don't be annoying, but just fine line, Joe. But yeah, they will be available there as well as a lot of other awesome FlexiFile stuff. They do so much cool stuff.
So good.
That's always the first place I hit when they're at
Yeah.
the local shows. The tools.
Yeah, they have just a great range of
They do.
really cool tools.
They do fabulous things, and we're not just saying that because,
It's true.
It's true.
I
It's a
actually was
good-
a fan of their tools and they've been around forever.
they've been
since
around.
'68.
They've been around for quite a while.
I've
and
been
they make
buying their
some
tools for
amazing
years
stuff.
before
I know.
ever met them.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so we're briefly going to talk about a good fan of the show, Tony Jacob. He actually emailed both myself and David from On the Bench. And so Tony, for those who don't know, Tony's the one that kind of stirred the pot, shall we say? He's the one
right.
that was actually gave me some info about the kangaroo Musaroo detector or the kangaroo detector, which I then photoshopped. After our good colleagues from Australia were winding us up. So. Yeah, he's fully admitted that to both David and myself. I have no problem. I think David's forgiven him. Hopefully the lads down there have. But he also has some interesting viewpoints. So he actually wrote.
We read it.
We read it. He writes it. He wrote an interesting post about the future of modeling, and he had some good points. And again, I know the other guys have already talked about it.
Yeah. We picked out something a little different.
Yeah, we did, but and Anthony had some things. So basically, just the real Cole's Notes version is, he was. When he was talking, when Dave, Ian, and Julian were at the Melbourne Model Expo, they had a really good interview with a guy from a Gundam club. And he found it really interesting to hear him talk about this club and the scene. And he expressed some of my thoughts more clearly than I have. He talked about the imagination and creative approach. So what he was kind of seeing is what they all talked about was a great example of how I see the two camps creating a cohesive and vibrant future for modeling, sharing ideas, sharing passion as common ground. It's interesting because what he says is he still sees in some of the forums about needing more to quote unquote convert builders of these new style to building traditional model kits. And I kind of disagree with that, and I know Anthony, you had a couple of interesting points you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, like I see myself as a traditional modeler, even though I'm 99% sci-fi, and and what I mean by that is I went to the hobby shop on Saturday mornings. I read Fine Scale Modeler, and my exposure to science fiction goes way back, and even before that, science fiction modeling has been one of the earlier genres. It's really just a genre, right? But
It
if you
is. That's
think
what I
about
consider it. Yeah.
movies like Kubrick's 2001, like all the model building, and then there's even stuff beyond that, right? Like going past, and of course Star Wars modeling. Think about like how deeply important to the core of these different things that modeling was, right? All the other things that followed. And I'm using the tools, the techniques, all of those things, right, to create scale representations of not real things, but imagined real things, right? Like that's, I always like to approach my science fiction like it was real. Like I want to do a double take and be like, what's that from? Oh, okay. It's not a real thing. But so I definitely, I don't agree that I'm a non-traditional modeler. I'm a full-on traditional modeler. I love it. I love the plastic. I'm doing it the way everyone else is doing it and been doing it. I would argue that there is a new type of modeler, and we were discussing this earlier about, and maybe there's even this that goes back a bit further as well. But like for Gundam, for example, and this is happening with other companies, but Bandai is releasing model kits that are the correct color, animation accurate. They're releasing it with stickers instead of decals.
Okay.
If you want decals, you buy an extra.
Okay.
But each kit comes with stickers, and they're snap tight, so no glue.
No glue. So a really good entry point.
Yeah. So, but these are things that people can buy, put together in a month or less, and get something that resembles a character from a show that they watched, right?
Interesting.
And I think those people are in they're in a position where they can buy this $20-$30 kit, they can buy it once a month, or like, Bandai's got this figured out from marketing. Like I buy the same kit and I'm getting the decals, I'm gluing it, I'm painting it, I'm modifying it, I'm scratch building stuff. So it's taken forever.
Okay.
Or, it's taking like what a model takes, right?
Yeah,
It takes a few months. So, but that's like, those kind of people have, they enjoy the subject, they want to get into it. And this is true of other science fiction brands, and and obviously we're seeing SnapKit stuff. We've seen it around in cars for decades, right?
Yep.
And we see it in airplanes, and things aimed at kids too, or it's
the younger modeler, simplified. Yeah.
That's the new modeler where they're not getting bogged down with like painting. They're not doing the traditional stuff. They're not. They're
finding something that they're enjoying, and then
tools.
And then later,
banging it out.
No, and then later on, they could decide to move to that.
No, they're definitely the people who could become traditional modelers because they get interested and they're like, oh, I want to try a tank. I want to do this Gundam, but I want to make it look more realistic, right? Or like more like it could be a plausible thing. Right. And then they get into the traditional world that we're deeply entrenched in.
And I know I challenged you prior to going on air. I said, can we really call ourselves traditional? Because I say it evolves. Because, for example, traditionally, you go back 50, 60, 70 years, it was balsa wood.
Balsa wood, yeah.
It was
ships, right?
It was wooden ships, carving. So just like technology's evolved, so is our hobby. So it's an interesting point. And I think this is what, this is what Tony's saying as well. Like, we can encourage both. And I think, as he says, it's inevitable and it's helping. And I think we're both kind of on the same page there. And I think, definitely.
I just like the different stuff.
Yeah, and there's more than enough room in the hobby for everyone.
Yeah, and I think this has come before, but I've never met a science fiction builder who like didn't love real world subjects.
Well, exactly. And you know what? In the end, it's like I say, I build for me. If other people want to build, if other people want to build for a contest, if that's what they enjoy, go for it.
Now, did I ever tell you? This isn't. You'll find this very interesting.
Okay.
There's actually a hobby shop in my family lineage.
Really?
In England.
In England?
Yeah, in Bexhill-on-Sea.
Bexhill, I think we talked about it off the thing, because Bexhill-on-Sea is very famous for a Goon Show episode, which was a British comedy series.
Yeah, so there's
Bexhill-on-Sea. Yeah.
Now I've got to find the correct name. I was asking my brother about it because he's the historian of the family.
You'll have to find it.
It doesn't exist anymore, but it was it was half hobby shop and half bicycle shop.
That's pretty well the way it was back then.
And I went there in 89. And we walked in and like literally divided it in half. And I remember I got a kit of some kind of airliner.
Right.
And then I
bought
a Jetfire toy.
Awesome.
Like the Transformer
Yeah.
It was a Valkyrie.
Very cool.
So, can you get more traditional than that?
He's very traditional.
My dad worked at the hobby shop, the
Right.
Niagara Central Hobbies. He worked there in the '60s,
Interesting.
and then
So you
when
got
he was
some
in
lineage. You
university.
got some lineage, so that's
Can you
awesome.
get more hardcore?
So Tony, we really thank you for the email.
Interesting food for thought.
It
for
is.
Sure.
We always welcome Tony's comments, and we're going to get him on the show sometime.
He's a fun guy. He's got lots of viewpoints.
He's a great. He loves winding. He loves playing both sides. Loves stirring the pot, but
Thanks
nothing
for
wrong
buying
with
the
that.
Super Saiyan blocks too, there, Tony. Appreciate it.
There you go. So he's really good as well. Actually, we have to bug David. He should be getting his shipment soon.
Yep.
You sent one
did I
down.
mention that?
I think you mentioned it last time briefly, very briefly.
Yeah, some samples are on their way. They're
To the lads.
They're probably
They should be
gonna have
soon.
Or not already.
Hopefully, on the slow boat to Australia.
So remember, boys, if you don't like them, just say nothing.
Oh dear.
If you love them,
If you love them, exactly.
go crazy.
Exactly. Okay, we now have a guest interview we did earlier this week.
Yeah.
With George Salitas.
You got it.
I got it this time. He's the contest chief of Wonderfest. Basically, really great interview. We had some really good, insightful stuff, and here it is now. Oh, we're back again with our interview segment on the Scale Model Podcast, and this time we've got a very special guest, George Salitas, who is the contest chief at Wonderfest. And we've been talking about Wonderfest a lot lately. That's where our buddy Anthony, who is also with us, has been a couple of times.
Yes, yeah, I've been 3 times, and I can't wait. Hopefully next year I'll be back to visit.
All right, so George retired after 27 years of running cryogenic plants for an industrial gas company that supplied NASA with oxygen and nitrogen for rocket engine testing, and was a child of the Apollo era. Hey, me too. I've been seriously building sci-fi and NASA-related models since 1994. He took over as contest chief for the amazing model art contest at Wonderfest in 2016. Married to a degreed art major who gets our hobby and sits right next to him in the studio creating her own works of art. And he says life is good. George, welcome to the Scale Model Podcast.
Well, thank you, sir.
We're just gonna kick it right off. I'm sure anyone who's run plants with highly explosive substances has a lot of stories. So we're going to talk about probably those eventually. But let's just get right started with Wonderfest. So how did you get involved with Wonderfest?
Well, it's probably about it was 1998. I got my first home computer and hooked up to the internet with my dial-up modem. And first thing I tried on a search engine was Studio Scale Models.
Attaboy.
The first two websites I come up with that showed up was, of course, Steve Iverson's website called TV Man, and John Lester's site, Starship Modeler.
Excellent.
And I started looking around, and it took me about a half hour. I'm like, holy cow. There's a whole bunch of people out there like the same stuff I do, you know?
I know.
Did you feel kind of alone before that? Like you were doing it on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to think, building like everybody else, building what was available in the hobby shops, and never really run into anybody. Never went to a model show, anything like that. Then I get heavily involved with that, a bunch of other websites, and then these guys on Cult TV and Starship Mall are talking about this thing called Wonderfest, and it took me 4 years. I went to my first Wonderfest in 2003, and haven't missed a year since.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Anthony, you've been a couple of times, and it's something I do want to get to at some point.
It's a great trip.
Yep, I've seen great photos and some just absolutely stunning work. So speaking of Wonderfest, Anthony, you got a question about judging.
Yeah, so as we've mentioned before, George, you're the head judge, so probably lots of responsibility, lots of weight on your shoulders. And I know we're big fans of the merit style of judging. Did you have any part of the decision to have the contest set up that way, or is that something you inherited, or?
Yeah, actually, I inherited it. But the thing is I've also got involved with a local model club down in Pittsburgh when I lived in Ohio, Three Rivers IPMS, which has always used that system. So very comfortable with doing Wonderfest, with the merit style judging. The most important thing about merit judging versus the basically the 1, 2, 3 judging, when you do merit judging, the only modeler you're going to beat is yourself. And that is super important. That will always gauge you as to how well you're doing, if you're getting any better or not. You could be the greatest modeler in the world, and if the guy sits down the same exact model next to you, and there's something just a teeny bit better that that other guy likes in a 1, 2, 3 contest, you're liable to end up for second place.
Right.
Yeah.
And if there's 30 Star Trek Enterprises in that contest room and 30 of them are exactly the same, there's going to be 30 golds, or 30 silvers, or 30
Right.
bronzes. Whatever level of work they are at. So there's no chest bumping, none of that nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I've placed silver at Wonderfest personally, and to me those are really meaningful wins. Knowing that I just had to. I was competing against myself, like you mentioned, and the work was being judged against sort of the flaws inherent in it, and not sort of somebody else's project. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we do use a set of criteria. When we're doing the judging.
Is it the classic rules from IPMS that sort of is the framework for the criteria, or something else that came about?
Yeah, somewhat the basics are the same. The first thing the judge would look at would be the basics. Does he, is the work clean? Are there any seams present? Any gaps? Very much like IPMS in that regard.
Right.
And you have to get those things right. You look at the decals. Is there silvering? You went into paint. Are there tape lines? Orange keel. The very basic stuff. And if you pass that test, then it's a little bit of a harder look. At other things. As to whether you end up with a bronze, silver, or gold.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, Stuart, why don't you? That's a great spot for the next question.
Yeah, it's a great segue. So basically, can you give us kind of a glimpse of kind of the process of what happens during a typical show? Like, obviously, people come in, register their kits, but then what basically happens? Once you have your judges meeting or something like that before, and then I'm not sure if I'm assuming you close the room when you're judging, but just kind of run us through a typical show, what that would look like from the judging perspective.
Sure. Pretty much what happens, we shut those doors at 5 o'clock. We've got our judges in there, and I've made a personal habit every year of telling them what I just spoke about. This is what you're looking for. I have handouts to give to them, about an 8-sheet handout that I typed up, to give them the criteria to make sure that they're looking at that stuff. I also tell them, if you have a question, you need to come get me.
Right.
If you're not sure. And I float the room, and I keep an eye on everybody, and I tell them up front, if I see you spending a lot of time on a specific model, you're going to get a visit from me, and I'm going to want to know what's up. It's
Right.
not to be demanding of the judge. It's just that, if you can't see this stuff right away, maybe you need somebody who can see it.
Now, just
Okay.
just if I can interrupt for a second, do you typically have judges like work in pairs or teams of 3? I know we've talked about with previous people running shows, and I know Anthony's gone through this. Where typically, sometimes they'll have a more experienced judge with someone who's paired up with someone who's fairly new.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Typically, we try to pair up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we try to keep two guys together all the time.
Right.
We invite them to talk amongst themselves. Sometimes there's things that one will see that the other doesn't. And then you got me floating around. Drew Roberts, he's the figure guy. He knows the figures really well. I'm pretty much the hardware guy
Right.
because I've had tons of experience with that. Yeah, and we'll try to keep it paired up. Now, the other thing that I've done in the last 3 years, that I've been fortunate enough to do, is I've had pretty much the same judges every year for the last 3 going in.
That's
the fourth
nice.
year now, we had almost the same
That's
year to
that's
year.
nice. So you know kind of who you're working with. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, that's exactly my point. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, I know what their capabilities are or aren't. Yeah, that's super important because that doesn't always happen in content. You know.
Right.
Yeah. Usually it's a mixed group of the volunteers. You happen to be there, or yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and really from a judge's perspective, sometimes, and I don't think the entrants understand this, but the toughest ones for us to judge are the ones that are maybe a bronze, but they're so good they might be a silver,
Yeah.
or maybe it's a really good silver, but it might be a gold. You know, and that's when we get. Sometimes, you know, I'll drag people from across the room, come over here, let's talk about this a minute. You know,
Yeah. It's
I ran into a situation this year that was really unfortunate. We had probably one of our best model builders, artists in that room for the last 5 years brought us a spectacular piece,
Mm-hmm.
and it was stunning. It was a showstopper. Everybody was looking at it. We had crowds the whole weekend. That night, I was on one side of the room. The one judge that I really respected was on the other side of the room at that particular piece. And he called me over and he says, "You need to come look at this. There's a problem." And I walked over and there was an issue with it.
mhm.
There was
I
a
heard
very
about that.
serious fit issue. And while it should have and would have been all day gold, I couldn't let it pass.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that's
Oh.
basic, you know.
Well, and I think that's, I think as you say, with the Merit style, it's funny because, like, my wife's really into gardening, and I know at flower shows and stuff like that, like Chelsea Flower Show, they use the Merit style as well. And they've got a very strict, you know, set of conditions, and as you say, you could have everyone have a fantastic year and have 4 or 5 golds, or you could have issues all around and no one has a gold. And I think, you know, obviously I assume the criteria are clearly posted and people are aware coming into it. So, and as you say, you're competing against yourself.
Yes. Yeah, and it
That's
was
tough.
Yeah, it was.
That's tough. Yeah.
There was a little bit of anguish there, you know, because
Yeah.
I know from Facebook I saw the build,
Right.
how much time that person had invested in it, and it just crushed me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's some of the pitfalls of being a judge is that you have to hand out the verdicts, right? That it's got to have integrity
Yeah,
to mean anything.
yeah, and to go ahead and give it a gold anyhow would have just
Yeah.
made my judge and that contest lose some of its cred.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't do that. You just can't, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it happens. You know, I kind of joked about it later. My friends were teasing me. You picked a bad year to be the head judge.
I think everyone goes through that.
It's what we do, you know.
Exactly.
part of the challenge, I think.
So how
Yeah,
long?
judging is not easy.
No, it's
No.
not, and I don't think people are aware of that. So how long typically, like, I don't remember off the top of my head how many kits you had entered, but how long typically does the judging take?
Okay, like this year it went from 5 to 10:30 at night.
Wow.
But that's keeping in mind that we had a record year this year. We put 826 pieces on the table.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that basically it beat the old record 2 years ago at 743.
Wow. Well, that's good to
Wonderful.
know. That's good to know. It shows the hobby is still strong.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
my goal is, and it might take another year or two. But my goal is I want 1,000 pieces on this thing.
Well, I'll try to help you out.
We'll have to recruit some more judges, I think, as well.
I would appreciate it.
I'm going to have about 10 completed pieces the next time I get down there, hopefully in 2020.
That's what I want to hear.
Excellent. Perfect.
But that's been my goal the last 3 or 4 years, and all the guys on these different websites that I know that know me, I know they put the extra effort forth. And when you start having guys, when you start having the boys from Fine Scale Modelers showing up every year to take pictures for their
Yes.
folks who are starting to pay attention to the genre.
Exactly, which is good, and it's as we talk about as well. There's a lot of growth in this particular, in the genre there, and it's whatever works for people. I know it's something I'm a little bit more into as well now, and Anthony's slowly dragging me down the Gundam bandwagon, slowly but surely.
Yeah. I'm starting to do more real world, and you're starting to do more sci-fi. What's happening?
What the hell's with that? I know it's funny. We also got our colleagues that on the bench in Australia. We have what we call the Moosaroo Cup. So moose and kangaroo, Australia and Canada. So one of them's building a Gundam because they've never done one, and Anthony was challenged to build a late '60s muscle car. So he's working on that. It's all in good fun. So exactly, a lot of good fun. All right, Anthony, you got the next question, my friend.
Yeah, well, I think we did talk about. I was going to ask him more about the challenges of judging, and you gave us a really great story about just how hard it can be. Now, you've had such a fascinating career, and I can see why you're interested in sci-fi, George. Could you give us some other cool stories about your career in
working in places that can go boom?
Yes, yeah.
Places that can go boom. Well, I can tell you, the first day on my job there, when you drive into the plant, on your right-hand side as you enter the front gate, there was a 13,000-gallon liquid hydrogen tank, a vertical tank.
Oh dear.
And then dead in front of you is a large sphere. And if you've ever been to Kennedy Space Center, if you go out to Launch Pad 39A with the Saturn V lifted off,
Yes.
if you look down along the coast, you'll see those same spheres.
Right.
And they were built the same year that plant was built. Large liquid oxygen sphere with a large liquid nitrogen sphere behind it and a smaller liquid argon tank. And the liquid oxygen and the hydrogen were my two biggest concerns.
Yeah.
we were told if any of this ever catches fire, don't try to leave. You can never possibly get in your car and get far enough away.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was told the first day I worked there.
Exciting.
We had to leave our keys in the car with the doors unlocked.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know why. If I could get in the car to get away fast enough.
Not much point. Maybe the only thing you could say is, well, when the blast wave hits, I can go Mach 1 for like a few microseconds or something. Well, yeah, I can imagine. So how would they? So would they use rail to transport that from your plant down to the pad, or how was that done?
Yeah, well, in our case, we were up in Ohio at the time.
Okay.
We were delivering product to Lewis Research Center, NASA, up in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Which is now called the Glenn Research Center in the name of John Glenn. And it was trucked.
Oh, okay.
6,000 gallons at a time.
Wow.
Liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen trucks. Pretty fascinating stuff. We only did that for the first 3 or 4 years I was there, and then they quit using that product up NASA Cleveland. So pretty much what we were doing after that was we were still doing the liquid oxygen, only it was medical grade for hospitals.
Right, right. Well, yeah, and that's a whole area that people don't realize. We've got Sarnia about an hour away with what we
Yes.
call the Chemical Valley and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, because I'm just thinking, you were talking about the explosive power. I always remember years and years ago when the out in the western U.S. when the plant that was making the solid fuel for the shuttle rocket boosters went up,
Yeah.
and just you saw that from a distance, and just as you say, the explosive power just scary.
Yeah, and then there's, and chronically, you would think that would be the most dangerous thing, but what was probably more of a concern to the rest of us than anything was the liquid nitrogen,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an asphyxiant.
Right. Good
You know,
point.
We had tons and tons and tons of training, lots of training,
Right.
and with liquid nitrogen, they had what was called two-breath death.
Mm.
Where if you were caught in a nitrogen vapor cloud, if it was thick enough and dense enough and you couldn't find your way out, you're only going to get 2 breaths and then it's over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I remember years ago they showed a video from a police officer's in-car camera, and they showed him coming on up to an accident where a truck carrying that had collided, and he basically he goes to help, and he takes 2 breaths and he's down. Exactly. I remember that from years ago. So you also mentioned some engine testing. You have anything about that in particular, or you just?
Yeah, the engine testing part, what I vaguely remember because I was very young when they were doing some of the Saturn testing up there.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to describe. I think I was only about 10 at the time. My father worked there as a truck driver before I got hired in there.
That's neat.
From 1963 forward. He was always hauling liquid up there and stuff. So I, as an 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old boy, I got to go to their open houses all the time.
Right.
And they had some crazy thing up there where they would, to test, it wasn't a rocket engine test stand like you would think it would be. They had a long, for the lack of a better description, if you can envision it, was like a long missile silo underground.
Okay.
They would fuel these rocket engines and drop them free fall down in through that. we're talking like 700-800 feet,
Oh,
and they would
jeez.
fire that motor.
Right.
And that's all I could barely remember about that, because I remember having the brochure at home, and I had that for like 20 years, and one of my kids got lost.
Okay.
But, when you're a 10-year-old kid, you're pretty wide-eyed at stuff like
Right.
that, you know?
Right. Neat.
And, that was very cool.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you got interested in model building, and was it the traditional way that a lot of us our ages, we start off of it young and then we discover cars and girls and then get back into it a little bit later on. What's your story?
Well, that's pretty similar. Dad got me started in it. He got me started with the balsa wood.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's doing the stick and paper stuff, right?
Yep,
And,
yep.
I remember he had a Beechcraft Bonanza. So that's the weird looking one. It doesn't really have a rudder in the back,
Yep,
but it
yep.
has those 2-angled stabilizers.
Yep. Exactly.
And I remember we spent a couple weeks building that thing, and it was rubber powered.
Right.
Didn't have a motor.
Yeah. The rubber band and the dope and all that. Yeah.
Got all that done. We went out on the back porch. He lit it on fire and threw it off the back of the deck. and thought it was hilarious watching it go like 75 feet away from the deck on fire till it crashed into the ground. I think I was 8 or 9. I wasn't even upset.
Oh,
Left an
man.
impression.
Dad do something like that was pretty bizarre, but it kind of taught me he had a sense of humor.
Awesome.
Which is always very important.
Oh yeah, and then, but that was the only one we ever did. After that, I think the next model he bought me was the Aircraft Carrier Enterprise. I think it was a small, 1/200 scale or something like that. Something real small. But then I was hooked on it through all my teenage years. Like everybody else, the girls come along, high school. Then you get out, you have to get a job for,
Yep.
making ends meet. And I never really got back into modeling until I started dating my wife. She was a sophomore in college at the time,
Okay.
going for a graphic arts degree, and we were constantly down in her folks' basement painting, and she was always painting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep from getting bored, I decided I was going to buy another model kit. Can't remember what it was, but I bought something and built it, and then I just never looked back. I
Awesome.
just got buried in it.
It's always nice when you have a spouse that also has a similar sort of hobby, because you can always understand. My wife knits, so we always joke about sneaking the latest purchase past the spouse to add to the stash, and it would apply to either of us.
That's right.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Anthony.
Right on. And so, George, where do you see the hobby, and maybe you can even speak to Wonderfest, where do you see the hobby growing or changing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to both. I think
You mentioned you want to grow the contest, which sounds awesome.
right. I want to grow the contest. Something I have noticed with us is I've noticed that we're starting to see a lot of mid to late 20, early 30 guys starting to come now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of like how our gang was way back when we first started going. I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
I do have concerns that we need to start working on the juniors and the teens. It's kind of faded a little bit the last 2 years, 3 years maybe. But
Okay.
we went way off the charts this year with our Make and Take at Wonderfest, and I didn't get a chance to see it. I was so busy, but I was told that there was an awful lot of kids in there,
Awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Good.
and they were having a good time. So we need to work on that. I think as far as the model industry itself, I know it's
Sorry, guys.
Oops.
that's all right.
That was Anthony's fault, ladies and gentlemen.
That was my fault. Let me just turn that off. Sorry. Carry on, George.
Oh, that's okay. I was listening to some of Steve Iverson's interview yesterday, and I think Steve's got a pretty clear picture on it. I also think that as I'm sitting here in my studio right now, looking at my wall of models that are unbuilt, I personally believe we are still in the midst of a renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
The kits get cooler and cooler. My dream of studio models is, you see more and more of that all the time.
Yep.
I think it's a good thing. People getting creative. What I'd like to see in the contest room at Wonderfest, I think it'd be a hoot to see some. We're starting to see some entry guys that are like referring to a book, like Scott Robertson or the artist Daniel Simon.
Okay.
They're starting to recreate some of their work in a scratch-built way.
Mhm.
That's what becomes it really, really, really becomes art. I think that's awesome. There's pretty much nothing, I believe, hobby shops are going away, but there's pretty much nothing you cannot find online.
Right.
That's really, really cool stuff. I've got some really bizarre stuff myself. I think the garage kit industry is thriving more than it ever has.
Mm-hmm.
That was evidenced by Wonderfest this year. I was told from some of our figure vendors and stuff, it was the best year that they've had in probably 10 or 15 years.
Excellent. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
that's awesome.
Matter of fact, Wonderfest, it wasn't just the Amazing Model Contest. Wonderfest set basically a record this year.
Right.
Wow.
We could not have been more pleased.
Good.
All the vendors were happy that we're aware of. Just outstanding. And we've got some vendors that hadn't made it the last couple of years that were show favorites that are coming back next year
Mm-hmm.
because they missed not being there.
Right.
And the other thing I think is really, really that has been helping at least our show, possibly the hobby, is some of our guests are industry professionals.
Right.
You get the John E's, the Rick Sternbacks. We had John Goodman. We had Steve Howard come over from England last year.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are all mega talented, but more important, they're just great people.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
cool. people who are just like us. And they'll sit around and talk to you all day if you have the time.
Awesome.
And I think they help the hobby.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, those guys are inspirational.
Sure. I mean, the first time I met John Eves was at Wonderfest. It was kind of slow. He was sitting on a table in the dealer room, a pair of Levi's on, a pair of sneakers, a t-shirt, and a baseball hat. Sitting there swinging his legs back and forth on the table.
Awesome.
Just a normal guy.
Yep.
And people are thrilled when when guys like that come to the show. Rick Sternbach, he comes every year whether he's invited or not.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's someone I'd like to meet, definitely, because I've loved what he did with Next Gen and some of the other parts of the Trek franchise. So that'd be an interesting guy to have a beer with.
You were that low, he'd be more willing to do that. I mean, he's just awesome.
Yeah,
I do think Rick is probably hopefully going to be a guest on our show at some point.
Yeah, we're going to try and work on that.
Yeah, I've sat in on some of his Wonderfest seminars, and they're just wonderful. I couldn't believe the stuff I was learning, and just a very interesting guy.
Yeah, very, very much.
Cool.
Funny, very funny guy.
Right.
I
So
like to be his age and be, he's pretty hip.
he is, yeah.
He knows what's going on around him.
Exactly. I wish I could be. I could look as young as he does for his age, or my age, or whatever. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so you knew this question was coming, and apparently you have a funny story about this. So, what is on your bench currently?
Okay. There's two things I'm working on, then the funny story.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm working on the Klingon Contender that just come out.
Right.
The big
Nice,
one.
lovely looking kit.
Yeah, it's pretty well engineered. I have to say, but I'll be making some changes to it because when you build enough, you just can't leave anything alone anymore. And I got that kit, like I told my judges this year. That kit, and we're going to see more of them at contests. That kit is all about paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you get the paint wrong, you've wasted your time.
Right.
And you've got to take a lot of artistic license. I see folks building it exactly the way it is on the side of the box, and I understand the studio goes overboard, with saturation color because with the lighting it'll wash a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have to be careful because it starts to look cartoony.
Yep.
And so it's about playing around with that. The next thing I have that I'm working on at the same time with fits and starts goes back to the garage kit industry. I have a 1/650th scale Sovereign class Enterprise E.
Nice.
It's one of John Eves' creations.
Right.
It is a fiberglass kit that's 41 inches long.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big one. I've had it almost 9 years now, and I've been waiting for my skills to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
They caught up to me about 5 years ago, but you just don't build a model that big and that cool in a weekend.
No.
Yeah, take some time
And then you
to
got
do
to
it.
figure out. Then you got to figure out how you're going to transport it to the show.
Yeah, I moved down here to Louisville, so I'm
So you're nice and close.
I'm 19 miles from the Crown Plaza, so
You're
Perfect.
ready to go.
maybe
Perfect.
that's what I've been waiting for. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so comically, what I have on my desk right now, I thought I would never have on my desk. Co-worker of my wife's went to a Games Workshop,
Yes.
apparently it's a new store that's opened here in Louisville,
Okay. They opened one of their stores there. Yep.
and because it's new, they were giving away some small figures
Ah.
for people to paint up.
I know where this is going.
And if I understood it correctly, I think they're gonna, once the pieces are done, they're gonna have their own little mini contest and see who they
Right.
like the best. But
Right.
so anyhow, this is a teeny tiny miniature. I have no idea what it is. It's an angry-looking Skeletor type thing, with an axe in one hand and a shield in the other.
Awesome.
And it's 5 pieces, including the base,
Yep. Very tiny.
and it's only about 1.5 inches tall.
Yep.
Good
She
for you.
wanted to know if I could primer it for her so she could hand paint it herself. And I said, that's fine, but now I'm sitting there looking at it. There's all kinds of flash on it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to clean it up for her and put it together for her before I prime it.
Oh, excellent.
You can get it back to my wife tomorrow.
Well, we had one of our previous guests, Kim Taylor, is a master painter in that stuff. And
Okay.
yeah, I used to paint the odd little bit too. And they do make some pretty cool things. And of course, there's the inevitable debate, like we, in our local contest, we do have a figure class for those. Because
Okay.
some of the quality of what people paint in that, it just blows me away. It just absolutely blows me away. So yeah, good for you. It's, I always encourage people to try something different,
So that's probably another thing I did at Wonderfest was we get a lot of miniatures,
right.
Yep.
anywhere from, I don't know, what is this, 52 millimeter? That's not even that big, I don't think. But anyhow, we get them up to like 90 millimeter.
Right.
We get 54 millimeter. And my concern over the years is sometimes those pieces can get lost.
Mm,
Yeah.
As in not judged.
right.
We had a piece about 3 years ago. The contestant parked it under the saucer of a Star Trek Enterprise B.
Oopsie.
You couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So what I did is I ended up making 2 risers. Each riser is 4 foot long.
Right.
It's 5 tiers, and we managed. I think we can get close to about 100 miniatures on those.
Nice. Good idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
What a way to
Yeah.
enhance the contest. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, those guys deserve that. I mean,
No, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I painted them black so it's contrasty. If you put your piece on there, somebody wants a picture of it. It's easier to take pictures. I hope.
Nice.
And this very piece here is exactly why I built that riser.
Very
And
good.
much to my amazement, I'm looking at this little thing, and there's flash here and there, but it's quite well done.
Yeah, they do a very good job. I always say their pricing seems to be sometimes as a company, but they do some very nice molds. And
Sure.
I have to admit they've got, they as a business they know what they're doing. Let me put it that way, for making money
Yeah.
and all that. So, and even some of their painting products, they've got a new contrast paint, which I picked up a bottle of. The idea is it's mainly for people who want to get like whole armies for wargaming set up.
Sure.
So the idea is you just slap this on and it does your shading and your highlights kind of in one fell swoop. But I was looking into and I see one or two people that have the same idea about it might work really well for simulating wood grain on something. So I've picked up a bottle. I'm going to hopefully this weekend play around with it and try. And I know some other people are thinking, maybe it might do an easier way to do some metallics or something. But again, different. I've got no problem in taking ideas from other aspects of the hobbies and applying it. And that's also part of the fun.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, now I don't know if you're familiar with. There's another company that does gaming called Dust Models.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I've heard of them. They make kind of those what if
Yeah,
World War II style, like 46 lift style kind of things.
exactly.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, I love the what if stuff.
I got on board with them about 7 years ago. I run across them, and that's how I won my first Wonderfest gold.
Oh, cool.
Really? Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, they did they had a 1/35th scale thing called Big Joseph, and basically what it was like an AT-AT walker type thing.
Yeah.
It had skis on the bottom and a Russian tank turret on top,
Right.
and then for propulsion on the back, it had this giant ass 6-prop propeller.
Yeah, you know what? I'm remembering this. Yeah, Dust 1947. I'm having a quick peek at their website. Yeah, I remember this stuff now. Yeah, I love some of the what if stuff. It's always.
So Good.
Yeah. Sorry. No. Go ahead, sir.
So like you were saying, most of that model that I did, I applied just basic armor technique.
Mm-hmm.
Washes, straight paint, that sort of stuff. And I want to go. I never had so much fun building something in my life. That
Exactly.
thing was a blast to build.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's funny you say that because I've got I had some extra bits and I had a an old Airfix 176, the 88 gun on the tractor I had built up, and I really had no place for it. And then I think I'd won it or something. I had a Gundam, and what was it again, Anthony? What was the name of that
Oh,
Gundam?
the Shaitarn
Yeah.
from Victory Gundam.
Yeah, and it was a 1/144th, but you could make it 1/72nd. It would be, a little bit bigger. And I combined the two in a desert scene where basically had this German thing shows up to aid his buddies, but all his buddies run away because they've never seen something like this before. And again, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just, it was my first Gundam I ever built, and it was, I was very impressed, and, it was a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoyed it at our local club, and, yeah, exactly. So it always works really, really well.
Sure.
So,
I ended up taking that same year. I ended up taking it to the IPMS Nationals, and I won gold there too.
perfect.
But the thing that was fun is I took it to a lot of IPMS shows, and it was fun watching them guys' heads explode.
Oh, I know, I love it. I know.
They're like, what the hell is
You know what? This is why I will do stuff like that, just because I have great respect for the people who like counting rivets, but at the same time, I love watching heads explode for that reason. The what ifs. Yeah,
It's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah,
It's a hobby.
I build for me exactly.
Yeah, we gotta have a sense. You gotta have a sense of humor, and you gotta enjoy, right? And it's supposed to be a creative endeavor. So,
Yep.
that's how we sci-fi guys get down that path, right? Just things
Exactly.
that look interesting, and there you have yourself.
Very good.
That's great.
Okay.
when you look at that Big Joseph, it made no sense at all. I was laughing the whole time I was building it because I'm thinking the first time this cannon goes off, that thing's going over backwards on its propeller.
You know what? You'll have to you'll have to email us a link to a picture of it, because I'd love to put that up, or the Katinga, or a picture if you're working on the Katinga process, or something, just so I can add it for when we whichever episode, probably the next one, we're going to be tying this interview to, and we'll put it up as a photo.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can send you. I'll send you some pictures of Big Joseph. This continues in bits and pieces. There's not much to see here.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that would
that
be
sounds
awesome.
great. Yeah.
That would be absolutely awesome. Okay, George, I think we're just about done. This is great. Again, always nice to hear some new news and some behind the scenes. And again, I think you're right. Not a lot of people are aware of the whole judging process and all that. So, all right. So we will make sure we also include a link for next year's Wonderfest. I see you've already got the countdown on the website.
Yep.
So that's awesome. And again, we wish to thank you again for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much. This is
Yeah.
a good time.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, George.
Hey, guys.
And-
Good night.
All right. As I said, that was not an awesome interview.
Yeah, what an interesting guy. Thanks a lot, George.
He is. He was really good. We really appreciate. I learned quite a bit. Again, I haven't been to Wonderfest. I know Anthony.
One day
One
I'll
day
drag
we
you
will.
down there.
We will. I'll get dragged down. Okay, let's talk tools. Talking tools. And you're on
tools.
deck this time, my friend.
Yeah, I pulled out these. What we're looking at today is by Wave Corporation, who makes a lot of tools and some kits from Japan, and they came out with this beautiful set of flat chisels. Mm-hmm. And they had they had a range of them, and I have 3 of them, and they are basically quite sharp. They're basically X-Acto blade, your typical X-Acto knife handle sized, so they're really quite comfortable, and they have color-coded tops that protect the blade. when
Yeah,
you're
that's
using it.
quite nice. Yeah.
And it spins off, and you can just stick it on the back end.
Very
Or, I noticed from their literature, you can put it right on the front end upside down, so that it becomes kind of a handle.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I liked. I have a set. I think Trumpeter came
Yeah.
out with a similar set, but it's certainly not as extra features. Where I could certainly see that being beneficial. They look really. nice.
They're very sharp looking tools.
Yeah, and very sharp. Period.
Yeah, very sharp looking. I have 3 sizes. I have a 2.4 millimeter, a 1.6 millimeter, and then a 2 millimeter. And I know that there's other sizes. There was at least one smaller diameter
Right.
and one, or sorry, not diameter, but like width. and another larger one, which I don't have them, but I'm going to get them. But I find these really great for like cleaning. Sometimes you just need to get into a certain area and clean out
Yeah.
something and just have a nice sharp line, and you can't do it with a blade.
Yep.
And
You just need to be able to get like an air intake. That's what I bought mine for.
yeah, I'd use them all the time for like just cleaning away plastic and sharpening up sort of,
Yeah.
inside details, that kind of thing. And they're not too badly priced. I think they're
No,
under $10 Canadian.
I'm
a
just looking
piece.
here. Yeah, $8.56 Canadian at HobbyLink right now.
Yep. So they're something you can get. They still make them, and there's also a series of round chisels. So it's a chisel blade, but with like a diameter on
I
it.
see that. Yeah.
I haven't used those, but these are great. I love them, and I pull them out every so often. I leave them in my little tool basket.
Yeah, it's
on
one
my
of those
bench.
things. Again, that's why I like mine. It's nothing you use a lot, but when you need it, it's
It's just the
indispensable.
right sort
It's
of
the right
cutting
thing to get in.
Yeah.
Like I said, I use them a lot for sometimes jet intakes or something.
Yeah,
if,
carving out details.
yeah,
I
or
use that a
even
lot.
or even something like if you've forgotten like about a mold mark or something.
Oh yeah, you can't use it to like kind of
Gently trim it off
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, I've used
Yeah, they're very handy. I really like them. So they're absolutely awesome as well. So there we go. So we have a link and we'll have a photo up with them as well. Okay, what's on the bench? Well, sadly,
working on?
I'm having, it's the Spitfire, the Edouard Spitfire. Beautiful kit. Don't get me wrong. I'm just finding it very small.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, and
It's
the
time
thing,
to graduate.
well, yeah. Well, I got someone for you. This is a beautiful little kit. Don't get me wrong. Also, I've been really busy, and as I said, I bruised my ribs a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which didn't help. So haven't had a lot of time on the bench.
Yeah.
Even posting my own personal blog. I finally got the update out for that yesterday.
Nice.
But basically, I've sealed up the fuselage. I'm starting the landing gear wells. One of the other neat things is the fuselage went together very well. But I did get a chance to just do a little bit of gap filling. There was a couple little tiny gaps, and I've got this wonderful putty, which we're going to talk about.
That'll be our next.
That'll be our next thing, so we'll mention that as well.
Talking tools.
Talking tools. So we did that, and then also I should put this out. Our local IPMS chapter in London, we're doing a 2-month over the summer build where you're doing something you haven't really built before.
Oh, the summer
Like
build
a subject,
challenge?
yeah. So I bought a tune tank a while back of a Tiger, so I'm building that.
LT.
And just to drive the rivet and counters nuts, I'm going to probably come up with some really obscene paint scheme.
Excellent.
Haven't decided yet, but
The
we'll
more
see.
obscene, the better.
So what about you?
Well, I have been working on the Moosearoo Cup Challenge. It's coming along.
They were winding us up pretty. You were winding you up pretty good, weren't
Just
they?
out of the package.
Must be nice to have all that time down there.
Yeah, isn't it great to have a nice modern kit that builds itself?
Well, and have the time to do it, and
Yeah. So the 68 Shelby kit apparently came out in 68, according to my friend Kyle Hood at
So
Wheels
so
and
it's
Wings.
classic. It's a classic.
It's vintage.
It's vintage. Nothing but the best thing here in Canada.
It looks great,
Yep.
but it's not like it's not going to well.
It's not a Tamiya kit. You get a Tamiya kit or a
It
Shima
doesn't go
kit,
to well together.
you'd be quite happy. But that's
Yeah.
fine. But you're making progress.
It's like the Aliens thing.
is.
It does look good. It looks great to my eye, but man, that thing did not want to go together either. I had to
Well, you
fight
want
it,
to challenge
had to
yourself. You know what it
dominate.
reminds me of? It reminds me of one of the guys in our club, Adam, who builds a lot of frog. And again, he torches
that on
himself.
purpose.
I
I'm
know.
not asking
I know
for
he
this.
torches himself, but it's like me and some of the old crappy airfit stuff, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's coming together well.
So yeah,
I
I did build the interior. I did clean up the body because it looks great.
It
all
does. It
cleaned
actually
up.
looks really nice cleaned up. Yeah, you're
And,
making progress.
Yeah, but I mean, those parts are rough. There's some parts that aren't cleaning up as nicely as I'd like, but I think it's gonna be.
Right.
It's gonna.
But
be
you have been
good.
you and Ian have been emailing.
I was asking for some help on.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
how to
that's good.
approach
So
it.
we are getting that, and
I haven't built a car since the '80s.
so there you go.
Yeah,
But
but,
no,
it's
it's
come
coming
along.
along.
It's gonna happen. I'm just deciding if I want to do something fun for the finish or kind of do one of the there was 8 factory finishes
Yeah.
and that would be fun too.
I think you're just going to have to keep it a secret until
Yeah.
you're ready to release it, and then we'll do like a grand unveiling.
absolutely.
Hey, there we go. We can videotape it. We'll have it under a cloth and like
There'll be a
the
video.
Detroit Auto Show.
Da-da-da.
reveal, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. But it's coming.
Good.
And I've still been working on the APC, which is
It's looking great.
I needed footman loops, right? Like
Okay.
how can you have a piece of armor without tie
I'll take your
downs
word for it.
everywhere.
Yeah, you need, well, because you're going to put a lot of gear on it.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I have these Aber ones, and I just have not been able to get them to work. And then the ones I built for my UN M113, I did them on a wire, and they worked out really well. But they took me a while to do it, but it was worth it.
The bending, yeah.
So in this one, I actually found some. They're slightly bigger than I think a traditional footman loop, but they look pretty good.
It's sci-fi. Who cares?
Yeah, they're just a bit. They're a bit
Yeah.
beefier.
Yeah.
But they're just sort of they're pre-made like handrails from
Oh,
the
okay.
HO scale my dad gave me. And I
Right.
had a ton of them, and I was like, I just need these done. So I'm working now. I'm putting these in.
So
and
you,
they
so you
look
don't have to
great.
bend them or anything there.
No, they're
Perfect.
molded plastic. They came on a sprue. And
Oh,
everything.
perfect. Oh, look at that.
There's
Look
the
at that.
sprue.
Holy tiny.
Yeah, but these are actually nice to work with. They're
Yeah.
actually big in
What
comparison.
are you using to take those off?
A saw.
Yeah, you'd have to. They're
using
so
this-
they're so bloody
Did
close.
I not tell you what one of the major things I've learned this year, like life-changing model skills, is to not nip off
Certain things no.
pieces
Yeah.
from the sprue? But I saw them all
You
with my
saw them.
little.
A lot of people do that.
And guess
I
the
still
saw is going to have to be one of our talking tools.
Yeah, I still do it. I still do a little bit. I'm going to take a picture of this, and if I
Yeah.
remember, God, this is so tiny you can barely even see it in the photo. It's yeah.
I
here.
already
There we
did the
go.
other sprue.
There we
These
go.
are
Put
great.
some out. We'll put some out and we'll show.
Yeah.
But yeah, little tiny HO scale. So they're working well for you.
I think these are going in really well, and
Perfect.
they actually have like pegs on the like below
Yep,
the
I see
footman.
that.
So I'm just drilling a hole and putting them.
I'm worried about sneezing right now. They're so tiny.
Yeah,
There we go. I think I got them all.
there we are.
There you go.
So yeah, that's
Cool.
going good. And then all I need is these stupid footman loops, and I can
Yeah.
paint this.
Well,
thing,
the APC is looking good. It's
and
looking.
then it's going to be done.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You got the LEDs and.
Yeah, all the hard stuff's done. I just
Yeah.
I don't want to paint it and then have to go back and
Well,
you know, put 'em on.
exactly. So that's good. So yeah, so we're hoping, as I said, I'm hoping to get now that I got the a lot of the photo etch done. The Spitfire will hopefully move along a bit quicker. Okay, sites and tips. Yeah, we've already mentioned Top Gun Maverick. There's a new trailer. In case you've been under a
Yes.
rock and it hasn't been posted to one of 20,000
Danger
Facebook
Zone.
groups. Yes, Anthony's very excited
Oh
about
man,
that.
it's going to be just a terrible, delicious.
Did I
mess.
tell you I have a crap load of F-14 squadron patches from when I worked at the air show?
Really?
Oh yeah, I had a jacket made
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. People were so jealous when I showed up at the movie when the first movie
Cool.
came out.
Yeah. Well, I would. I mean, that movie's so good. I gotta rewatch it.
Well, it's
That
basically a
movie-
U.S. Navy recruiting
Oh,
film. Let's
yeah.
not
Oh,
let's
yeah.
not beat around the bush.
Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's complete American jingoist type
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah,
military,
yeah,
but it's so
exactly.
good at the same time. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
amazing and terrible.
It's
and,
like
and
cotton
good.
candy. It's like cotton
Oh,
candy. Yeah.
it's bad for you, but good.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course
I gotta
there's-
attribute that to my love of models.
So there you
Probably
go.
directly came
All
from
right,
across
there we
of
go.
this movie.
we'll have to give him the credit.
cartoon Robotech with
Yep.
the transforming jets. That is what got
Okay.
me interested in models. So there you go.
And then of course we mentioned the Star Trek the new series, the Picard.
Yes, another
trailer,
series
and
steeped in beautiful
I see
model
Jerry
making.
Ryan, 7 of 9 is going to be in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she makes a brief,
The classic 90s shows.
appearance. Yep. So
Great.
yeah, okay. And then I got this great email from Michael D. Fellick, and I hope I don't slaughter that. He has some interesting things. He has made basically a custom Baleo World War II Naval Air Force color mix, a chart. Basically, he's been painting naval and aircraft miniatures for tabletop wargaming for 12 years. At a time, testers had a line of marine acrylic paints, but canceled them soon after I got started. He was told Vallejo was a very good acrylic paint for miniature painters for brush painting. Yes, I have to admit they are. So he loves to research camouflage schemes. So he's been making his own mixes, and after a couple of years, I had many of the most used colors for the big 7 navies worked out, and he's been giving this chart out to miniature painters for free about 8 or 9 years ago. He's been updating the chart. He's expanded into the aircraft. I've released an updated chart every 2 years, and it has grown, and in brackets, out of control. I have only been pasting it to my Wargame forum, the modelwarships.com forum, and the miniatures page forum and 2 now. Those are 2 excellent sites, by the way.
Excellent.
So he's just posted his new one. He's finally finished all the Army Air Force, U.S. Army Air Force, and in Navy colors and double the number of RLMs. He's also updated some of the Royal Navy colors based upon the research the Sovereign Hobby guys have published. So he thinks pretty well is everything complete. So he has a link to his free box.com account, and he's also posted some to Facebook. So he says, I'm not affiliated with Vallejo in any way. I don't even know anyone who works for the company, but he loves just doing this on his own. And yeah, he basically says, he loves the podcast. He listens to both us and On the Bench. So anyway, we're going to post a link to that. I'm going to post a link to the box.com account as well as to a Facebook group where he posted it to. So yeah, it's quite neat. I was checking it out, and if you want the realism, he's certainly got everything covered there.
These are awesome resources too, because I'm often like trying to find some, the company equivalent, and it's great. And there's been a number of other color charts where they give us like just a company conversion, like what's this Tamiya paint in Gunzy, right? If you only have Gunzy or something like that, and you just need to get going. But it's nice to have like the actual
and if you're someone
Navy.
and if you're someone who's really wants the realism thing, and he's definitely got it here. There's some awesome. He's got it set up as a PDF. He's got it, talking about what the mixes are, what the percentages are. It's very nicely laid out, and it goes quite a few pages, 27 pages.
Yeah, hopefully you can find in there what you need.
Yeah, so this is awesome. So again, thank you for letting us know about that, Michael. That's really awesome. We hope you continue to enjoy the show. Hopefully some more people,
Thanks for tuning in.
modelers, get interested in that. And this is the thing I love about the internet and our hobby. There's a lot of people that are willing to share and share
share
freely.
knowledge and-
So that's really good. All right, we're just about done. So any last minute things from Mr. Anthony?
Well, I've been really busy with the Super Saiyan blocks, getting them ready for a couple orders, and check out goodmanmodels.com. That's going to be the place where you can get the set, get the singles, and I also have lots of factory seconds for a discounted rate in stock.
You're going to be updating the pages with that and some of the new stock. So exactly,
coming along.
Check those out. As myself, just getting through the summer. We had a couple of very warm days here recently.
Sure did.
So good time to get on the bench and stuff like that. And I'm not sure what I'm going to be building next after these two, but maybe a sci-fi. Might be one or two sci-fis next in the queue.
Right on.
We'll see what happens. Always cool things to find. So, as always, don't forget to subscribe. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com. We do record bi-weekly. It's available where all your favorite podcasts are found. Feel free to like, subscribe. Don't forget to let your friends know. We really love people who share and let people know
Absolutely.
about the podcast. We're at facebook.com/Scale Model Podcast. And then, as I said before, we do have the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. So that's it for this time. So for the podcast, my name is Stuart Clark.
And this is Anthony Goodman.
Thank you and be well.